Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another product focused piece from us. As you can see, we're back out with the man himself, Mr. James Hudson from JF Hudson. This time we are checking out his range of Spapperi equipment, which he imports and distributes throughout the UK. So, I mean, before we get stuck in to the equipment, I mean, just sort of set the scene a bit. How does it sort of fit into the JF Hudson family, really?
Yeah, well, it's a bit different to what our background really. Background has inherently been dairy from installing robotic milking machines, and this came along because there was a customer who wanted a machine to weed pumpkins, and managed to find Spapperi, got on a plane, went to see them, did a deal to be exclusive distributor for the UK for them, and we've been importing the weeders and transplanters and plastic layers since 2019. Certainly, from my point of view, sort of inherently where we're from, it's certainly an interesting sector to be involved in. Yeah. It's an eye-opener. I've got to places I wouldn't have got to otherwise, and I've met some cracking people, and yeah, it's really good fun.
So let's start with Spapperi themselves. Who is Spapperi? Well, what is Spapperi?
Spapperi is an Italian family-owned business set up in 1964, and to be fair, they are grand to deal with. I really enjoy working with them. I deal with the son of the founder. I've met the founder. Me and Lindsay went and visited the factory, and yeah, there's quite a few of the family members are involved in it. And from a point of view of asking questions and can you do this, can you do that, it's not a straight out no. It's a we'll have a look at it, which is, in fairness, what people get from me. If people ring up and say, can you do this, it'll either be yes.
I was going to say, this sounds like your answer, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it is basically. It's like, it's not a straight out no, because that's the easiest answer. It's we'll have a look at it, we'll think about it, and if they thought about it and decided to no, then fair enough. But equally, it could be, oh yeah, we can do that. And from that point of view, yeah, I've really enjoyed working with them.
And does it sort of naturally complement your, the other aspects of your business? Because obviously, you're into, design, and you build bespoke products, and you build your own products, and you sell other people's products. Or is this just another sort of natural sort of addition?
It started from the CAD and cut point of view, which is a service we offer, and that sort of got us going in it. And then customers that have bought machines have also ended up using our CAD and cut service as well. So although it is a bit different to the norm, it certainly has its place.
Right, James, well, we'll start with the weeders then. Obviously we've touched upon it already a little bit, but let's get stuck into a little bit of detail on it. So start with really sort of what crops it's aimed at, because I believe it's quite varied.
Yeah, certainly more than I anticipated when we started with this job. So the first machine sold to a chap growing rhubarb. The main reason for getting involved in was pumpkins, but then we've ended up with strawberries, polygonarbon flowers, cut flowers, peonies, agapanthus flowers, artichokes, Christmas trees, and yeah, all sorts of different things, raspberries. And in fairness, it is suited to a lot of the organic grown vegetables where there is a gap between the plants down the row. So basically, you're moving those rotating heads. There's two rotating heads with vertical blades on, and they're basically moving the soil, and you use these two spool valves so that as the plants are coming through the machine, you're moving these to move the heads around the plants.
Yeah, and you're literally just going round them like that, in and out. So
the idea is this is doing the bit of the ground between the plants that an inter-row weeder doesn't get.
Yeah, so this is inter-plant weeder.
Yes, this is a Spapperi Inter Plant Weeder.
And going from all these massively different crops, going from one to the other, do you have to make much adaptation to the machine or much adjustment at all, or is it just pretty much like a universal machine, really?
It's fairly universal. The difference you sort of make is you match your forward speed to the rotation of the heads, and the speed of the heads is directly linked to the speed of the PTO, and you don't have to have it running at 540. Most of the time you're running between 350 and 450 because you don't really need it going flat out. But what you find is if you get going too fast, the rotation needs to be faster, because otherwise you end up missing a bit as you're going along. And also it depends on the weeds. If you've got a fine covering of really small weeds, it doesn't take a lot to knock them out. But then if you've got sort of thistles or docks with one big taproot, that's when you end up needing a bit more rotation speed and maybe a bit slower on the forward speed.
A bit more aggression.
Yeah. It just takes a bit more to knock them out, but it will do. And the rewarding bit is when you've knocked them out and they're upside down.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've got it right.
Absolutely, yeah. And then, I mean, you touched upon it before, but are there certain configurations of machine you can get, different roll widths, things like that?
So this is a single row machine. So basically everything from there back, you can have up to 4 of these on one chassis.
Right, so that unit, this here, you can bolt 4 of them onto a chassis.
Yeah, this whole chassis, this whole unit here is then multiples of that. So you've got a hydraulic cooling pack here, and that's because this is a hydraulic controlled machine. So these 2 spool valves are moving these rams that are moving the heads in and out around the plants. You can also get a mechanical version, which is basically a long lever, so you don't have that and you don't have this, but what you tend to find is it's hard going.
And you mentioned it's got its own integrated hydraulics, so I presume that's just driven off PTO, is it that?
Yeah, so it's a PTO mounted pump on this machine and the 2-row machine, and then on a 4-row machine the pump whole unit is mounted on the machine itself.
Right.
So there's no need for a spool valve. There's no requirement. So we've had a single row machine on a 135 all the way to a 240 horsepower Fendt, which did look a bit daft, but it was the only tractor they had available for a demo.
So in terms of conditions, will these pretty much work in any conditions?
Within reason. So like stony conditions is a challenge. Where we are here, we have quite a bit of stone and it can make it hard work, but most veg growers are growing in pretty good going. And in fairness, we've had a go in Christmas trees, and that was ground that hadn't been moved for 2 years, and yeah, it did a good job. One thing that customers have mentioned is just how simple they are. Yeah. There's not that much to go wrong on them. So when you need them to go, they will go. What it's given people is the ability to get over the ground quicker and doing a consistent job. This machine, the easiest way to sort of explain it is it's the middle ground between hand hoeing, which there is a lot of people out there still hand hoeing, especially in pumpkins because you can't spray them with anything, to fully robotic. It's sort of the middle ground between there. So what you get is you get someone on this, and whether it's the beginning of the day or the end of the day, the job is more consistent because it's not quite as tiring. The other thing is labour shortage is a big issue, and 2 4-row machines on hundreds of acres of pumpkins, and the labour saving on that is about 45%, just because it means that they can go from 80 people down to 24 if they ended up with 4 4-row machines, and that's trying to find that many fewer people is going to be a lot easier in the future. Absolutely, yeah. And how can people get their hands on these if they want one? So basically, give me a call. Ring us up. As ever, give me a ring. Yeah, give me a ring. Yeah, I like talking to people, so yeah, give me a ring. He does as well. And whether it be talking to customers who have got them to see whether they're for you or not from their point of view, or whether it be you want to try one, this is our demo machine. We'll do what we can to see if we can help you. Perfect. Right, let's move down this line and see what else you've got from Spapperi. Right, James, on to the next Spapperi product, the plastic layer. What can you tell us about this? So this is a machine for laying plastic for those who are growing vegetables and plants using plastic to suppress the weeds. So it'll take a 1.2 metre wide roll of plastic and basically lay it on the ground, and then you can plant through it. Yeah. So it's obviously burying the edges as you go down the field, and you can actually mount on the back of this. You can mount the transplanter that then punches the holes into the plastic. So you can do a one-pass sort of job, really. Yeah. So there's a brackets gone here that then means you've got everything to do it all in one. And this is for laying irrigation pipe. So it'll basically put the irrigation pipe under the plastic as well. Also, you can do about 3 jobs in one. Yeah. So it's quite a versatile little thing then. And what sort of crops is this, or plants is this suitable for? So anything, mainly vegetables grown under plastic. Some people grow pumpkins using plastic to suppress the weeds. Yeah. So is this pretty much like an alternative to what we've just been talking about with hoeing, basically? Yeah, you've sort of got 2 options. You've got plastic to get them going and stop the weeds coming, or you've got the weeder to grow them without the plastic and weed them afterwards. And it depends on where you are in the country as to what you prefer or how many acres you're doing. There's personal preference, to be honest. The options are, this is your plastic layer, but then you also get a bed former and plastic layer and irrigation pipe layer.
Right. So on top of all that other stuff it could do before, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
Grand stuff. So what about availability on these?
So this is a machine we've imported and it's available now.
Right.
It's available looking for a home, so yeah.
Yeah.
Just
again,
get in touch.
gear bell.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Just give us a ring.
Grand,
Yeah.
right. Well, last but no means least, we'll move on to the next one.
Yep.
Right, so on to transplanters then. Final product from you and Spapperi.
Yep.
So, I mean, where should we start?
So this is basically two of a wide range of transplanters that Spapperi offer. So this is a mono drive machine set up at 92 centimetres. So you've basically got your share that's putting your furrow in. You take your plants off the trays that stand up in here, pop them in there, and that rotates round and they drop down and it fills them in behind. And quite a straightforward, simple machine. The seats are on the front here, which makes loading quite easy at the back, but it also means that your weight is more on the chassis than it is if you were sat on the back.
Yeah.
You can alter the row spacing, so the minimum's 45 centimetres to 1.7 metres, and then you've got down the row 12 centimetres to 60, and you can go bigger than that. You're just quite straightforward to alter the gears, and that alters your spacing.
And then we've got this other one here, which looks a slightly different version.
Yeah, so this is a twin drive machine. So unlike that one, this has got a wheel either side, not in line with the bed where you're planting. So this is a machine for planting into bare ground and also piercing plastic. So this is the machine that you can mount on the back of the plastic layer.
Right.
And basically it has cups that go in and open up, so they're piercing the ground, piercing the plastic, open up and release the plant, and then compacting them as you go along. There's quite a bit of adjustment on this machine. Similar, you've got 30 centimetres is the narrowest. This one's currently set up at 32, and then you've got 1.1 metres is the widest, and then 20 to, well, minimum is 20 centimetres down the row. And again, with you can alter the amount of pressure you're putting on the ground. There's springs that carry a certain amount of the weight, and yeah, there's quite a bit of adjustment on the machine to make sure you get a consistent and as good a job as possible.
So there we go then. That's I mean, that's a fair lineup you've got going on there from Spapperi.
Yeah.
Some nice complementary stuff as well, going
Yes.
from the weeders, the plastic layers, and now the transplanters as well. So I mean, you know, like the other two products, what's availability like on these?
So these two are available, and these are available at this year's price. Obviously, with everything, prices going up. So come 2022, there will be a price rise. So these will be pre-2022
Get them in now,
pricing.
give you a ring.
Yeah, give us a shout and we'll see what we can do.
Perfect. Well, James, as ever, thanks very much for your time. It's been bloody interesting learning about this. Like you say, you know, at the beginning, it's just a different world almost.
Yes.
So
yeah, it's certainly a sector of agriculture I hadn't had anything to do with, and it's very interesting from somebody who's a complete outsider. But yeah, we find it fascinating.
spot on.